Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast, Mage Site. I'm Drew.
I'm Josh.
I'm Chris.
And we are continuing on this wonderful trip through the Mage book, myths, lore, and all the rest. So what are we talking about today, Chris?
We're talking about Arcana this episode.
All about the different kinds of magic.
Yes.
Cool.
First time we've talked about what a mage can do.
This is actually the thing I think you like the most about the game.
Oh, magic? Absolutely.
Yeah. He loves to think of different magical spells, or just be riding in the car, and all of a sudden he'll be like, if we put this spell together and this spell together, what do you think you could do? I love how your brain's always working that way.
Yeah, I think that, magic is the main draw of the game. It's what we're coming here to experience and to do.
Yeah, it's pretty much my main draw to the game too. So
Cool.
It's a good topic to go over.
You know, I suppose it's kind of my main draw to the game too. I mean, who doesn't want to be powerful and magical and change their world, especially when it's not going the way that you want it to?
Mage allows the player to step in the role of creating their own spells, of actually doing magic, and not simply like casting a spell at some that's the one kind of spell that does that. So a lot of people here are probably familiar with Dungeons and Dragons. Every spell does one thing, and you just have your collection. And Mage, you have your Arcana, and you kind of create your spells with it.
Mm-hmm. That is what, not that what I don't care for about D&D, but it is one of the things that like I don't get into it as much because of that. And I didn't really realize it before playing Mage. I'm like, oh, I like being able to play around with my spells versus you have Disorientate, or you have Fireball, or you have, I don't even know if Disorientate's one, but you know what I had one that made people like go mentally like whatever, and I used it. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, you were playing a bard when you played D&D.
Yeah, anyway, so it is a lot of fun. Chris, do you want to go through a little bit more in detail the topic?
The power available to mages primarily comes in the ability to cast spells. Commanding the 10 sources of truth known as Arcana is the secret to this power. Arcana, which allow mages to inspect, alter, create, and destroy any aspect of the fallen world and even the souls contained within. The 5 Gross Arcana affect the physical reality of the fallen world: time, space, matter, forces, and life. The Gross Arcana are complemented by 5 Subtle Arcana, each of which encompasses some aspect of souls: fate, mind, death, prime, and spirit. So, jumping right into it, let's just go into the first pair, time and fate. Well, actually, let's talk about why I'm pairing them.
It's because that's the fairies. That is
the Acanthus. The Acanthus path.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so the time is the gross.
Yep.
And fate is the subtle.
Mm-hmm.
What's gross again?
Gross means tied to physical reality, while subtle is connected to the soul.
To the soul, to spirit.
So,
okay.
What is and what should be is what the pair encompasses. Time being what will happen in the future or has happened in the past, while fate says what should happen. Like, if someone is destined to marry their mother and kill their father, destiny makes that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Time might be able to look forward in the future and see the event, but it is fate that makes it happen. When a mage plays around with fate and destiny, he can kind of tug on everything to make what he wants occur. The whole world will reorganize itself to ensure the destined event happens. Time doesn't have the ability to, say, manipulate things on that scale.
So what do you use time for?
Well, you can look into the future. You can look into the past. You can slow down or accelerate someone's individual timeline, allowing them to basically everything else around them is moving super slow, but they zoom forward.
Well, it's like if you're, let's say, an investigator. You come across the body, you get called in for a murder. You could cast time and it would show you the murder.
Sure. There's a time spell called post cognition. Whatever you're casting the spell on, it allows you to see that thing in the past. If you're at a murder site, you would cast it on the location itself and would give you a vision of what happened. You'll have to. You kind of would view it in reverse from where you are and see everything and kind of rewind it back till you saw the event you're looking for.
I just realized in a lot of murder cases that where you find the body isn't necessarily where the murder happened. So you want to do the spell on the body.
This is now a true crime podcast.
You'd want to do the spell on the body so that you'd follow the body back in time and you would see what happened to it.
Sure. You're looking for different timelines there.
Or if somebody was kidnapped out of their room, then you do the spell on the room and you can see
the event of them
being taken.
Yeah.
I like true crime. My next character is based off of a true crime detective. Well, okay,
no,
I don't think she's a
off
detective.
of an entirely fictional detective.
You're right. Well, I mean, she's not a real true crime detective. You're right. So it's not true crime. So it's not true crime. Sorry. She is one of my favorite fictional detectives. You're right.
Jumping back to Fate for a second. Fate magic is a lot more unpredictable than time. If, let's say, you as a mage wish to meet someone, a celebrity, Fate can make it so that that person will happen to be at the right place at the right time for you to meet it. But the nature of that is you can't control the circumstances around how that occurs.
It could be a car accident.
Right.
You crashed into their really nice car, ran a red light, your brakes didn't work, whatever, and you got to meet them.
Right.
Or maybe you're at a restaurant and you trip and spill food all over them. I'm just thinking of some of the worst things. It could be a good thing. Fate is very interesting to me because it almost comes off like luck in the sense that it can be good and it could be bad.
Well,
it's very much a kind of, you know what you want, you throw it out in the world and you hope for the best.
Yeah. Well, and that actually is like kind of generically, if you're using luck, does fall under its sway.
Isn't one of the spells called Lucky Number?
Oh yeah, lucky number is you want to call someone you don't know where their phone number is. You pick up your phone, you hit random digits, and then it happens to be the right ones. Or you're at a safe and you hit the combination perfectly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So no, extreme luck. I mean, everyone else sees it as lucky, but fate just made it happen. There is, I guess one other aspect of fate is it's also about oaths and kind of magical contracts.
Which, once again, that ties into the fairy aspect of them, who are very much into oaths and in fate and things like that. And you have an oath that you have to stick to have some sort of outcome. Or you have a bind to someone, an oath to someone that if that oath is ever broken, there could be something very nasty that happens to you. That is very, very fairy-esque.
Yeah.
/ Celtic. Very, there's something very, maybe I'm just partial to Irish Celtic stuff, but I see a lot of the Morgan and stuff like that in it.
Right. Fairy stories are full of oaths, promises, and destinies. Mm-hmm. I think a lot back to Irish mythology, and that kind of thinking is ever present.
Not that if you play an acanthus, you are beholden to play it that way, which is Spice. My character Spice was an acanthus.
And jumping back to time, we can talk about classic time travel circumstances. It is limited in that time only affects your timelines. or your time, so you can't like step into the past.
Okay, let's move on to space and mind now.
Space being the gross and mind being the
Subtle.
subtle. I need the reminder for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Space is fun.
space is about connections. Yeah.
Space is about finding something that's close to someone, like sympathetically, and then doing shit to them.
Yes. So the easiest way I can describe space is the first spell that comes to mind is teleportation. Literally, space is connecting things across distance. The book even has there's a concept that distance itself is a lie, that anything can be connected to anything. There's things called sympathetic connections, basically things naturally having a spiritual, emotional connection to other things, like lovers are connected, but a child and their teddy bear have a connection. That we were all have these connections around us. Space manipulates those and brings them together.
Mm-hmm. Like a computer programmer might have an attachment to their computer.
Mm-hmm.
A pianist has an attachment to their piano. You have an attachment to heirlooms that you've gotten from your parents or your family. Yeah. I remember when we played the COVID game and I was playing Celine, my Thyrsus mage. Sound too much like thirsty.
That's what it's supposed to sound like.
Oh, I know, because it's like drinking wine.
Yeah.
And you were playing Odin.
Mhm.
And I had gotten myself into a few different situations, and I would have to call Odin on my phone, and we'd have a video chat so that he could bring me through the phone and I could escape the situations I kept getting myself into. That's how we got close in the game, our characters. I don't use space that much to really understand it. I mean, I'm going to be using it more, hopefully, because my character is going to be a space and mind mage.
Mysticus.
I'm more into mind right now, but I need to read up more on space. Because I'm sure it'll help me find the bad guy. Because hell, you find the murder weapon, and that murder weapon, not only if you had time magic, could you do... So you could take that knife and cast collocation to find out where the murderer is, because the murderer is going to have an
You're
emotion.
thinking post-cognition.
No, I'm going into space because they have a connection to it. How would that work?
you would-
So
you have that spiritual.
You would use
connection.
correspondence for that one.
Correspondence.
Yeah, there's a basic knowledge. There's a knowledge spell. You find out what sympathetic connections exist on the blade, and then you use the blade. You cast the spell through the blade, targeting the individual from their connection.
Most of the ways I think about spells and playing this game is solving crimes. It's where I'm going to go.
You watch a lot of true crime. That makes sense. That's where your mind is.
I listen and watch a lot of true crime.
Yeah.
Yes. I know a lot of statistics. And I've made so many plans in case something bad happens. But yeah, so that's definitely going to be a spell that Fletcher uses.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Other things that space can do, it can manipulate the actual space around you. So it can create like bubbles in space, trapping individuals inside. It can create entirely new spatial areas, creating entire dimensions outside of reality. Creating that doesn't bring air with it, so you'll have to figure that out. But portals, teleportation, that kind of thing.
So on that question, because I love having visuals, The Haunting of Hill House.
Okay.
The Red Door. Is that space magic? I mean, I know there's a lot more going on in it than just that.
Okay. So, I mean, besides the fact that we're dealing with ghosts there, but the effect there is entirely mind, not space at all.
Okay, cool. We're not talking about mind yet.
Well, yes, we are.
Well,
We're
we kind of
talking about
are.
Space and mind.
You're right. We're talking about space and mind.
We aren't talking about mind yet.
Now let's get into mind.
Okay.
Well, mind. So mind is directly about minds, about not simply just reading minds, but also being able to manipulate, control, and rewrite minds. It controls perception. We're talking about that door. That door is whatever that house wants people to see it as.
Mm-hmm.
It is directly controlling how it is perceived. There's spells that make it so that something sees or perceives that thing with the way it wants it to.
Okay.
Mine's probably one of the most invasive of the Arcana. It inherently has the ability to destroy others' identities or control their actions. It works hand in hand with space because connections themselves are formed through mental activity. So actually strong feelings and strong emotions can end up creating sympathetic connections, in the sense that you can go and connect through the knife we mentioned to that individual, and now you have access to their mind simply by holding a thing that they held.
Oh. So even by holding
We
it,
have an intruder.
we do.
Hi, Fred.
Hey, girl. Hi. We are recording a podcast. We're going to take a quick break.
So now that the abyssal intrusion is done, let's
Continue with your thought.
So with the space magic, you can then use the knife to connect to the individual, but now you have access to their thoughts, their memories, their other emotions, which you can now use to find more connections or to, well, I don't know, how about we rewrite the killer's personality so they're no longer a killer?
Or that they feel really guilty about what they did and they turn themselves in so they can take responsibility for their actions.
That too.
Fletcher.
Sure. So as I said, they are connected. You can the biggest fear is they use those your memories against you. Say use that to find someone you love. Maybe context behind the connection. There is the astral realm, which has a place that connects both dreams and the soul together. Mind has power over the entities of the astral, which are called Goetia, a term for a kind of demon from the Key of Solomon. But in here, we use that term to reference the astral entities. Those beings are like parts of you. So imagine a spirit, which is your sense of justice or your sense of revenge. Like that's the embodiment of that within your mind. Mind has the ability to both pull those out of your mind and then into the physical world, as well as banishing others.
I've heard of this kind of thing before. I mean, they take from so many different thoughts and religions and philosophies to create this game, which is one of the intriguing aspects of it. When you talk about that these Goetias represent aspects of yourself, it reminds me of the gods.
Which gods?
Right?
We're talking about like the American gods?
It reminds me of American gods. And for anyone who doesn't know American gods, it's basically gods have power and lose power and are created based on people's beliefs.
Yes, I would say that the
it's
Goetia...
like the Order of the Stick.
What?
No. Yeah, it's like the Order of the Stick, right?
Order of the Stick, like the D&D comic?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
No, it's a fairly common fantasy trope as well.
No, it is a very common fantasy trope. I've seen it in definitely more than this. That's why they take from so many different philosophies and religious beliefs. So probably.
I was introduced to that concept in the old Merlin miniseries, because the whole like dynamic of that story is that Queen Mab is trying to push back the changing of the culture as Britain becomes more Christian and less pagan, and her followers, and as the Arthurian legends are she's starting to lose her power. She created Merlin to bring magic back, and he refuses to do so.
So I'm not as familiar with that game. What was it called again?
It's not a game; it's a webcomic.
Okay, but probably it's probably this, like based on the same thing. I know we moved on to mind, and we should be moving on, but I want to go back real quick to teleportation, because if I'm not mistaken, there's a conflict with it that, like, you can't just draw a chalk door and have it take you anywhere that you want. Don't you have to...
You have to have a connection to it.
You have to have a connection to that specific place. So as long as you have the connection to it, like say you want to go home, you can do that and get there and go home, but you can't make a door and go to Paris if you've never been to Paris.
Right. If you don't need a connection, if it's somewhere you can see. If you have a remote feed, like from a phone or a picture, then you can use that visual interface. If it's actually just a photo.
What's the difference between a picture and a photo?
Sorry, I'm talking about video.
Oh, so it can't just be a picture. It has to be like a video feed. So like say I'm watching the news of Paris, then I could do it.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to like mention that because I remember that's something that...
Unless the picture itself has a connection, you're not going to be able to do that.
Okay, curious. I just wanted to clarify that because I know that like it doesn't work exactly the way I thought that it would, but it does make sense the way it works.
Yeah, that just falls under targeting rules, that you can't target something just because you can imagine it.
Mm-hmm. Death and matter, they go together like a something.
So let's move on to matter and death. When I was reading the book, I saw the golem spell, and that looked interesting to me.
The golem spell, that like makes an animate object like it makes a chair able to move or yeah. So matter it's kind of like being an architect and being able to like shape things the way you want, being able to understand what a thing is made out of, also how things interact with it. So the reason why you can turn anything animate is because anything can be a machine in its structure.
So when you talk about a golem, like when I think of golems, I think of gargoyles.
Oh, okay.
So you're saying though that a golem can be a broom that you cast a spell on?
Yeah.
You could use it to just sweep the floor?
Yes, you could do that. Like, Mickey Mouse and the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
I guess one of the reasons that just isn't the way I would have thought to use that spell, because it does make me think of the great big protector and stuff like that, which is, because it comes from a Jewish story about a protector that they made out of clay.
Yes, it is.
They take so many things from so many places and religions and philosophies and stuff. It's great. Because for me, though, when I think of the dancing brooms, I think forces, because it's making it move. So I could have my vacuum and my broom clean my house for me.
Yes. You could make anything into a Roomba.
See, death doesn't interest me, but matter is starting to interest me even more.
I'm more interested in death than matter.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I'm more interested in the Subtle Arcana than the Gross Arcana.
In like everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
With death in particular, you can manipulate souls directly, which you can't really do with other Arcana, as to my knowledge.
Technically, all the Subtle Arcanas can do something with souls.
That's true, I guess. That's the point.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a visual because, with matter spell, or the golem spell specifically.
Yeah.
Enchanto.
Encanto? Oh, yeah. You're talking...
The house!
Yeah.
I could have an Encanto house.
Matter itself would make the house, give it motion, but doesn't have an intelligence, just with matter. The broom will...
Mind.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mind and matter recreate the Encanto house.
As is described in the spell itself, you could use spirit or death.
That's true. You can make it a ghost, or you could imbue a spirit of fire into it.
Why did you say fire?
I don't know, because I always think of. Tend to think of spirits as elementals first and foremost, and sacred fire is always my first go-to spirit.
I would have picked a spirit of comfort.
Let's save spirits for
you're right. We're off topic.
We'll get there.
Yes. So death and matter. The other thing you can do with matter, which is cool. I don't know how far up in the chain of difficulty this is, but you can turn anything into anything. So you could pick up a rock. You could turn it into a weapon. Okay, a rock is a weapon. You could turn it into a gun, right?
Yes. You can change one thing into another thing, even complex things. The difficulty of that is based on how much you're trying to change of the object. If it's the same material, but you just need a different shape, that's really easy to do. It's harder if you need to increase its mass or if you have to like change its state. Like you're trying to change plasma into a solid mass. That takes some effort. And actually, if it's really energetic, it requires forces too.
So going back to my rock to gun, is that harder than pipe to gun? Because rock is not necessarily metal based.
The biggest material here is, does the rock contain the correct thing, contain the components of which a gun is made of? Like if you have the raw ore, it's a lot easier to turn that into a gun than it would be to like take a rock from your backyard and turn it into a gun.
Okay.
That is doable, but it is harder.
Cool.
The hardest matter magic. It's creating matter and destroying matter, or like annihilating it. That's the pinnacle of matter magic.
Death. We should talk a little bit more about death.
Okay, death is absence, and that comes in any kind of absence.
Which includes shadows.
Yes.
I know. They can control the darkness of shadows.
Where light is absent. In this way, death can do a lot of mirrors of other arcana, but obviously we're also going to be talking about dying and the spirit world.
Which is what I think of whenever I think of death.
Ghosts and the underworld. Death gives them power over such beings, and this is the second arcana we're talking about that has an other world.
Oh yes, because you can go to the world of ghosts.
Well, you can go to the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's it called? Is it called the underworld?
Yes.
Okay.
A place of eternal forgetting and annihilation. It's not a pleasant place.
It eats the ghosts that live there, does not?
Yes, it can.
It slowly consumes them.
But ghosts themselves are ever present in our lives. And if you want to go sixth sense, that is available to them. There are a lot of necromancers spend a lot of time dealing with the dead around them. Death kind of forces you to ask hard questions about yourself and about, because the things you're going to be, that you see are the absences that are all around us. You get to basically get a look into the pain in people's lives.
That is not one that I have really explored much. I'm a little averse to it. So I don't have as much to add in this conversation, unfortunately. I don't like death. What is it about, like, what is it that you like about it? Because you said that you like death more than matter, so what is it about death?
That is true. I was actually thinking that about a Thyrsis character who would use matter to give all of their spirit friends corporeal form with Golem.
I like that.
Let's just possess all of the rocks with their own spirits.
Not all of them, just their friends.
As far as death goes, the only spell I can think of off the top of my head is Sever the Awakened Soul, which is what I mentioned about manipulating souls fairly directly, because you just cut someone off from their soul.
There are 3 important death spells when it comes to souls. First one is Soul Marks, which allows you to look into a soul and see its condition. You can see if someone is asleep or if they're awake because of the brilliance in their soul. It also sees if it's corrupted, like a corrupted soul, like vampires have a damaged and broken soul. So you can see it, but it's not what it once was. The next spell, Soul Jar, you take an object, and that thing is now capable of having a soul. So,
wait. So you take a stuffed bear, and you can put a soul into it.
Yeah.
Now, do you have to create the soul, or do you take somebody's soul?
Souls can't be created.
So you would be taking somebody's soul and putting it into the bear.
Yes.
Right. Would that person then die?
No.
No, they would be soulless.
Can the bear talk?
No.
Is the bear sentient? Like,
no.
It knows. Okay, so the soul's not sentient?
The soul is separate from the body.
You would need to give it a mind or something like that.
Okay.
And that's still not connected. The presence of the soul would
So it's
mean...
just a stuffed bear with a soul.
So
Doesn't
here's
really
the thing.
change anything about it.
If it's given a mind, then that mind will be influenced by the soul.
Why would you steal
But-
someone's soul?
Maybe I want to put it in a jar and feed it to something that eats souls, and maybe in exchange for power.
Does it make the person without the soul die?
A soulless person is inherently weaker, and they will eventually deteriorate, but they do not die without. It is not critical to the being to have a soul just to be alive.
But they can't now wake up. They will forever be asleep.
I would say they don't really exist at that point. I would think of them as an object. They have no self.
So it's like your friend, you'd have your friend become soulless, and they'd start deteriorating
Yep.
in the sense that they don't care about anything anymore, and
Yep.
stuff like that, because they don't have the same vibrance, because they don't have a drive.
Yeah, it's just on autopilot at that point.
Interesting. Okay, cool. All right, what are the next ones? Because I think we've talked about this for
Yeah.
a bit.
Next is Forces and Prime from Obernos.
Forces is the most obviously physical magic.
You've described it as being the wizard.
You call lightning down from the sky. You can turn in literally invisible. You can and fly. Anything that you think of when you think of a wizard, Forces does.
I like Forces because this is how I would use it. You're like talking about lightning, which is awesome. Although real quick, could I make it rain too?
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
I think rain's a matter thing.
See, a rainstorm with thunder and lightning.
You can alter the weather with Forces.
Okay, there are two things that I would use it for then. One, oh my goodness, give me a thunder, lightning, rainstorm any day. Love them. And then I can sit out on my porch with a cup of hot tea or coffee, and every time it gets chilly, I can warm it with Forces. Perfect day. Rainstorm, hot tea.
I think the book describes that
I
action as
think-
the smallest act of hubris.
That's what I was thinking. That if you're gonna use a spell to control the local weather, just so that you can have a nice, relaxing day with a cup of tea.
Yes, that's what I would do if I had Forces, though.
Okay, so let's talk about Prime.
Okay.
Prime is the magic of magic.
Prime's the hardest for me to kind of wrap my head around, partly because it feels like it's just used to kind of see things, or it can be used to destroy things, destroy magic, but the only problem with that is you can't destroy magic that you don't know. So if it's a time spell and you don't know time, you can't touch it.
Prime can target anything. There is a lesser... Okay, so there are two Prime spells that destroy other spells. The first one requires you to have a understanding of it. So it adds your ability to destroy the spell, but you do have to be a mage of that who knows that magic. There is a higher version that is just blasting it with supernal fire and destroying the spell.
So you don't actually have to know the magic
No.
if you can blast the eternal fire on it.
Right. If you put enough prime onto something, you can just say that spell doesn't count. The word prime means first in Latin, and including that firstness, and boils down to the idea that magic is truth. So it also covers a number of things which are about speaking truth or perceiving truth and creating truth, even to the point of this idea of truth is kind of married with the concept of divinity. So like speaking with the word of God, saying something that in such a manner that every person understands what you meant and how it was meant.
In the book, that is called high speed.
There's
What?
also a specific spell.
Words of power.
Yeah, words of
I
power.
thought it was high speech.
High speech is
High speech is the language of the supernal, so I think you can only say true things in high speech.
Oh, you're right. So
But
what was
if
it
you
again?
want someone to, basically, like the very core of their soul, they will know your words to be true, then you would cast words of power.
Words of power.
I equate it to Gandalf in the Fellowship. When he goes, Bilbo Baggins, I am not trying to rob you. Yeah, there is
that creak and the big and the
the magic going on there is that what is true about Gandalf was given to Bilbo in that moment
and
that
helped him
moved on.
move out of the state that he
Yeah.
was in of paranoia.
Using that spell, like if you actually were to choose to use that spell, it's because you really, really need them to understand what you're saying. You cut through the bullshit and just communicate. And there is nothing like that anywhere. Like there is no possible way to do that in any other kind of magic. So okay, one of the coolest spells is a spell called Display of Power. Display of Power makes it so that the area that it's cast in, mages can show their true unlimited mage power without actually doing anything, like not actually affecting. This allows for a safe environment for dueling.
So you cast the spell around the duel.
Yes.
What happens if you don't cast that spell around the duel?
Well, then you have to actually rely on real spells and you're actually trying to kill your opponent.
Oh. So it's sort of like it's dueling but with a safety net.
Right.
Okay.
Also, there's no risk on paradox.
The character I'm playing in our Let's Play is an Obramos, but I'm probably not going to do much with forces, I think. It's going to be primarily Prime and Fate for that character.
You're a boxer, though. I thought that you'd do more with forces. I don't know. They're just...
Well, as a boxer, he is fated to win.
I like it. Okay. And forces might be a little on the nose with that, I guess. Cool. I'm excited to play with those characters. It's going to be fun.
The last two Arcana we have to talk about are Spirit and Life. Life and Spirit. Kind of said that backwards.
Life, living, organic life as we understand it. Life covers it both in the bodies and components of life.
Plants,
bacteria, viruses.
You can make a deadly disease with life.
Yeah.
You could make a pandemic with life.
Yeah.
You can just, say someone stops living and they just fall down dead.
You could also just make somebody sick because you don't want them to, I don't know.
Well, if you use life on yourself, you could become an animal, run around as a fox. With life, you can give yourself claws and wings.
I remember when I was playing Celine and we were in Florida, we were trying to stop this one young woman from hurting herself, and I couldn't stop her. So I finally picked up a stick as a yantra. I finally picked up a stick and used it as like a mental connection and broke it in two to break her leg so that she couldn't move and she would stop trying to hurt herself. That's another thing you can do with life.
Yeah.
Life is another boring one for me.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
See, I find life to be fun because, I can turn into an animal. I can fly. I could break your bone or crush your heart using a grape.
Mm-hmm.
I think life makes you think about what are you and what are you not. Because all life can be rewritten and pulled together, and you have to ask yourself, what am I? If I am something other than my body, what is that? It's especially true
A soul.
Well,
And a mind.
I'd use it to make a beautiful garden.
I would
Yes,
use
for your-
fate to make a beautiful garden.
You'd what?
Use fate to make a beautiful garden.
Interesting.
See, there's more than one way to skin a cat in this game.
I would use fate to skin a cat. Life, you could
Li-
just remove the skin from the cat.
Okay,
There you
I'm
go.
going to use matter to just make cat skin, and I've never hurt anybody.
That's boring.
And that's not skinning.
That's not skinning a cat. That is acquiring cat skin.
Okay, why are we skinning a cat then?
See the different ways that we can do it.
You know what? You just sound like wizards to me.
Good. Life also can make you stronger. Like if you need that stamina, or somebody else needs that stamina to like get away from the bad guy or whatever, you can give them that extra boost, or give yourself the extra boost. Like,
you want to be a superhero? Get life magic.
Yeah. Life and forces.
Well, to be Superman, you need forces. Batman would only need life. He would just amplify his.
No, Batman would need matter. Batman would be a pure matter mage.
You see, like he just has like paper clips which he throws out and turns into bat.
No, he's just nothing but gadgets. He just has the gadget that he needs. It's the 11th question legacy. It's just the bat legacy instead.
So Batman and Inspector Gadget would be the same kind of mage.
Mm-hmm.
Basically the same person.
Oh, sure.
Cool. See, for me, even though I love Thyrsus, I have a hard time actually with spirit, which is odd for me because I'm kind of an animist, especially when I was younger. But it was a harder thing for me to wrap my head around when it comes to actually being out in the wild and everything has a spirit. The telephone pole has a spirit. That car has a spirit. That fence has a spirit.
Okay, there is a reality that is parallel to ours, the shadow, that is a reflection of our world. Any emotions and any physical substances in the world create spiritual essence.
That's another thing I forgot.
And spiritual essence forms in this other world into living beings. The world as we know it is separated from this parallel reality by something called the gauntlet. Sometimes these spirits find cracks in the gauntlet and emerge into our reality.
That's something I forgot. I forgot that it's not only the tree, the telephone pole, the rock, the sidewalk. It's also emotions. It's also, and these are different than the Goeas.
Goetia.
Oh,
This is different than the Goetias. But there's spirits of happiness and spirits of despair. Like, if you're a Thyrsus mage, you can see spirits around people that they've created for themselves of anxiety or fear or happiness.
But they can also travel to the shadow and interact with those things.
Mages can?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if they had a friend who was having a hard time, other mages might try to help them out or change their issues. The spirit mage will talk to their spirits of anxiety and figure something out.
Mm-hmm. That is kind of nice. They're like, I see my friends full of anxiety. Well, hey, you know what, you spirit of anxiety? Come over here. What's going on with my friend? What's creating this?
Yeah, now,
interesting.
Admittedly, spirits are all arrogant and all want favors.
Well, they don't want to be used or just give things away for free, so you have to give them gifts and stuff like that.
Fundamentally, a spirit exists because of the parallel thing in reality. Oh, before we go on, there was something I wanted to mention. Animals have spirits. Humans do not.
Animals don't have souls. Humans do.
But only human emotions become spirits.
So
because humans have souls.
That makes sense. Because, well, sort of. It makes me a little sad that dogs and cats won't be in the supernal with me when I die. At least I'm assuming they wouldn't be if they don't have a soul. But it's interesting that they have a spirit. Instead of a soul. Because we don't have... Ooh. So that means that bugs also have spirits?
Yes. And...
Okay.
I imagine they're quite powerful.
Even the itty bitty bugs, like a flea.
Okay, so spirits
ants have the biggest biomass of any animal on the planet.
Yeah.
So,
So in the shadow, spirits are all predatory.
Yes, they eat each other.
Right. Well, so what's happening is that spiritual essence is combining into a larger and larger form. So because it's all in flux, they get big, they break apart, and they come back together.
Mhm.
And so when they're eating a thing, it's sort of it's actually a reflection of what's actually like the larger dynamics in the real world. They're always going to be in those cycles. So if you had a wolf and deer, you may actually in the shadow, there's only one spirit representing the pack and the herd.
Okay.
Because they are just, one eternally hunting the other as they move across.
Well, the pack is one and the herd is one unit. So, I get that.
Right.
Okay. Ooh, would that be similar for a family? Like, does a family have a spirit?
You mean like a family as in humans?
Yeah.
No, because they don't create, there's no human essence.
Well, okay. I just know that you said that humans can create anxiety spirits. I wasn't sure if they
could
family spirits.
If everyone in the family is having anxiety, then yes, they could form into a larger anxiety, a more powerful anxiety spirit.
But it would be the anxiety spirit, not the family spirit.
Exactly.
Okay.
In some ways, spirit actually forces the mage to be very, very present, even though they do view everything differently. Spirit is one of the strongest of magics because almost everything involved comes back to spirit. Anything that forces can do, spirit can. You want to get it to rain or make a storm? How about you talk to the sky? How about you talk to the cloud spirits or the water spirits? How about you? You don't need to change reality. You just have to know what they want and how to work with them.
Could I ask my coffee cup spirit to warm my coffee up?
Maybe. It could be if it's combined into a house spirit. You may have to talk to it. But that being said, because of the separation of the two worlds, the shadow spirit doesn't really have a direct connection with the physical object. So you'll be interacting with, they're connected by the shared essences that they create.
I'm just trying to see if I could use spirit to also create my perfect lazy day.
That's why I would not replace the spirit in my house with a spirit of fire, because I don't want to burn to death while I sleep.
That's a good idea.
I would replace it with a spirit of comfort.
I really
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I like that. A comfort spirit sounds perfect for a home. It's like a hearth spirit. Any other thoughts real quick on life or spirit magic?
I don't have any.
Not particularly.
Okay, cool. Well, I think we should end the session here. This was, once again, incredibly fun. All right, you guys, if you still want more of us, we have an Instagram as well as a Patreon where you can listen to the episodes that we're uploading early than when they come out. But they do come out every Friday, so please like, subscribe, share, all those wonderful things. Share with other tabletop players. I'm sure people would love this game if they haven't heard of it. It is a lot of fun. And don't forget about the Let's Play that is coming up very, very, very soon. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.